Hello and welcome to The Essential Reads. My name is Isaac and my goal is to bring to you a bunch of classic audiobooks in an easy and accessible way. We are continuing with North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. And this is Chapter 16. The Shadow of Death. Trust in that veiled hand, which leads none by the path that he would go, and always be for change prepared. For the world's law is ebb and flow. From the Arabic. The next afternoon, Dr. Donaldson came to pay his visit to Mrs. Hale. The mystery that Margaret hoped their late habits of intimacy had broken through was resumed. She was excluded from the room, while Dixon was admitted. Margaret was not already a lover, but where she loved passionately, and with no small degree of jealousy. She went up into her mother's bedroom, just behind the drawing room, and paced it up and down, while awaiting the doctor's coming out. Every now and then she stopped to listen. She fancied she heard a moan. She clenched her hands tight and held her breath. She was sure she heard a moan. Then all was still for a few minutes more. And then there was the moving of chairs, the raised voices, all the little disturbances of leave-taking. When she heard the door open, she went quickly out of the bedroom. "My father is from home, Dr. Donaldson. He has to attend a pupil at this hour. May I trouble you to come into this room downstairs?" She saw and triumphed over all the obstacles which Dixon threw in her way, assuming her rightful position as daughter of the house in something of the spirit of the elder brother, which quelled the old servant's officiousness very effectively. Margaret's conscious assumption of this unusual dignity of demeanour towards Dixon gave her an instant's amusement in the midst of her anxiety. She knew from the surprised expression on Dixon's face how ridiculously grand she herself must be looking, and the idea carried her downstairs into the room. It gave her that length of oblivion from the keen sharpness of the recollection of the actual business at hand. Now that came back, and seemed to take away her breath. It was a moment or two before she could utter a word. But she spoke with an air of command as she asked, "What is the matter with Mamma? You will oblige me by telling me the simple truth." Then, seeing a slight hesitation on the doctor's part, she added, "I am the only child she has. Here, I mean. My father is not sufficiently alarmed, I fear, and therefore, if there is any serious apprehension, it must be broken to him gently. I can do this. I can nurse my mother. Pray, speak, stir. To see your face and not be able to read it gives me a worse dread than I trust any words of yours will justify." "My dear young lady, your mother seems to have a most attentive and efficient servant, who is more like her friend." "I am her daughter, sir." "But when I tell you she expressly desired that you might not be told—" "I am not good or patient enough to submit to the prohibition. Besides, I am sure you are too wise, too experienced, to have promised to keep the secret." "Well," said he, half smiling, though sadly enough, "there you are right. I did not promise. In fact, I fear the secret will be known soon enough without my revealing it." He paused. Margaret went very white and compressed her lips a little more. Otherwise, not a feature moved. With the quick insight into character, without which no medical man can rise to the eminence of Dr. Donaldson, he saw that she would exact the full truth, that she would know if one iota was withheld, and that the withholding would be torture more acute than the knowledge of it. He spoke 2 short sentences in a low voice, watching her all the time, for the pupils of her eyes dilated into a black horror, and the whiteness of her complexion became livid. He ceased speaking. He waited for that look to go off, for her grasping breath to come. Then she said, "I thank you most truly, sir, for your confidence. That dread has haunted me for many weeks. It is a true, real agony. My poor, poor mother." Her lips now began to quiver, and he let her have the relief of tears, sure of her power of self-control to check them. A few tears. Those were all she shed before she recollected the many questions she longed to ask. "Will there be much suffering?" He shook his head. "That we cannot tell. It depends on constitution, on 1,000 things. But the late discoveries of medical science have given us a large power of alleviation." "My father," said Margaret, trembling all over. "I do not know, Mr. Hale. I mean, it's difficult to give advice. But I should say, bear on, with the knowledge you have forced me to give you so abruptly, till the fact which I could not withhold has become in some degrees familiar to you, so that you may, without too great an effort, be able to give what comfort you can to your father. Before then, my visits, which of course I shall repeat from time to time, although I fear I can do nothing but alleviate, 1,000 little circumstances will have occurred to waken his alarm, to deepen it, so that he will be all the better prepared. Nay, my young lady. Nay, my dear. I saw Mr. Thornton, and I honour your father for the sacrifice he has made, however mistaken I may believe him to be. Well, this once, if it will please you, my dear. Only remember, when I come again, I come as a friend. And you must learn to look upon me as such, because seeing each other, getting to know each other at such times as these, is worth years of morning calls." Margaret could not speak for crying, but she wrung his hand at parting. "That's what I call a fine girl," thought Dr. Donaldson when he was seated in his carriage and had time to examine his ringed hand, which had slightly suffered from her pressure. Who would have thought that that little hand could have given such a squeeze? But the bones were well put together, and that gives immense power. What a queen she is! With her head thrown back at first to force me into speaking the truth, and then bent so eagerly forward to listen. Poor thing. I must see she does not overstrain herself. Though it's astonishing how much these thoroughbred creatures can do and suffer. That girl's game to the backbone. Another who had gone that deadly colour could never have come round without either fainting or hysterics. But she wouldn't do either. Not she. And the very force of her will brought her round. Such a girl as that would win my heart if I were 30 years younger. It's too late now. Ah, here we are at the Archers. So out he jumped, with thought, wisdom, experience, sympathy, and ready to attend to any of the calls made upon them by this family, just as if there were none other in the world. Meanwhile, Margaret had returned into her father's study for a moment, to recover strength before going upstairs into her mother's presence. "Oh my God, but this is terrible! How shall I bear it? Such a deadly disease! No hope! Oh, Mamma, I wish I had never gone to Aunt Shaw's, and been all those precious years away from you. Poor Mamma, how much she must have borne! Oh, pray thee, my God, that her sufferings may not be too acute, too dreadful. How shall I bear to see them? How can I bear Papa's agony? He must not be told yet, not all at once. It would kill him. But I won't lose another moment of my own dear, precious mother. She ran upstairs. Dixon was not in the room. Mrs. Hale lay back in an easy chair, with a soft, white shawl wrapped round her, and a becoming cap put on, in expectation of the doctor's visit. Her face had a little faint colour in it, and the very exhaustion after the examination gave it a peaceful look. Margaret was surprised to see her look so calm. "Why, Margaret, how strange you look. What is the matter?" And then, as if the idea stole into her mind of what was indeed the real state of the case, she added, as if a little displeased, "You have not been seeing Dr. Donaldson and asking him any questions, have you, child?" Margaret did not reply, only looked wistfully towards her. Mrs. Hale became more displeased. "He would not surely break his word to me and—" "Oh yes, Mamma, he did. I made him. It was I. Blame me." She knelt down by her mother's side and caught her hand. She would not let it go, though Mrs. Hale tried to pull it away. She kept kissing it, and the hot tears she shed bathed it. "Margaret, it was very wrong of you. You knew I did not wish you to know." But, as if tired with the contest, she left her hand in Margaret's clasp. And by the by, she returned to the pressure, faintly. That encouraged Margaret to speak. "Oh, Mamma, let me be your nurse. I will learn anything Dixon can teach me. But you know that I am your child, and I do think I have a right to do everything for you." "You don't know what you are asking," said Mrs. Hale with a shudder. "Yes, I do. I know a great deal more than you are aware of. Let me be your nurse. Let me try, at any rate. No one shall ever try so hard as I do. It will be such a comfort, Mamma." "My poor child. Well, you shall try. Do you know, Margaret, Dixon and I thought you would quite shrink from me if you knew." "Dixon thought?" said Margaret, her lip curling. "Dixon could not give me credit enough for true love, for as much as herself. She thought, I suppose, that I was one of those poor, sickly women who like to lie on rose leaves and be fanned all day. Don't let Dixon's fancies come any more between you and me, Mamma. Don't, please," implored she. "Don't be angry with Dixon," said Mrs. Hale anxiously. Margaret recovered herself. "I won't. I will try and be humble and learn her ways if you will only let me do all I can for you. Let me be in the first place, Mother. I am greedy of that. I used to fancy you would forget me while I was away at Aunt Shaw's, and cry myself to sleep at nights with that notion in my head. And I used to think, how will Margaret bear our makeshift poverty after the thorough comfort and luxury in Harley Street, till I have, many a time, been more ashamed of your seeing our contrivances at Helston than of any stranger finding them out. Oh, Mamma! And I did so enjoy them! They were so much more amusing than all the jog-trot Harley Street ways. The wardrobe shelf with handles that served as a supper tray on grand occasions. The old tea chests, stuffed and covered for ottomans. I think what you call the makeshift contrivances at dear Helston were a charming part of life there. I shall never see Helston again, Margaret," said Mrs. Hale, the tears welling up into her eyes. Mrs. Hale went on. "While I was there, I was forever wanting to leave it. Every place seemed pleasanter. And now I shall die far away from it. I am rightly punished." "You must not talk so," said Margaret impatiently. "He said you might live for years. Oh, Mother, we will have you back at Helston yet." "No, never. That I must take as a just penance. But Margaret... Frederick... At the mention of that one word, she suddenly cried out loud, as in some sharp agony. It seemed as if the thought of him upset all her composure, destroyed the calm, overcame the exhaustion. Wild, passionate cry succeeded to cry. Frederick, Frederick, come to me, I'm dying, little first-born child, come to me once again. She was in violent hysterics. Margaret went and called Dixon in terror. Dixon came in a huff and accused Margaret of having overexcited her mother. Margaret bore all meekly, only trusting that her father might not return. In spite of her alarm, which was even greater than the occasion warranted, she obeyed all Dixon's directions promptly and well without a word of self-justification. By so doing, she mollified her accuser. They put her mother to bed, and Margaret sate by her till she fell asleep. And afterwards, till Dixon beckoned her out of the room, and, with a sour face, as if doing something against the grain, she bade her drink a cup of coffee which she had prepared for her in the drawing-room, and stood over her in a commanding attitude as she did so. "You shouldn't have been so curious, miss, and then you wouldn't have needed to fret before your time. It would have come soon enough. And now, I suppose you'll tell master. A pretty household I shall have of you." "No, Dixon," said Margaret sorrowfully, "I will not tell papa. He could not bear it as I can." And by way of proving how well she bore it, she burst into tears. "Now you'll waken your mamma just after she's gone to sleep so quietly. Miss Margaret, my dear. I've had to keep it down this many a week. I know I don't pretend I can love her as you do. Yet I loved her better than any other man, woman, or child. No one but Master Frederick ever came near her in my mind. Ever since Lady Beresford's maid first took me in to see her dressed out in white cape and corn ears and scarlet poppies, and I ran a needle down to my finger and broke it in, and she tore up her worked pocket handkerchief after they'd cut it out, and came in to wet the bandages again with lotion when she returned from the ball, where she'd been the prettiest young lady of all, I never loved anyone like her. I don't mean to reproach nobody. Many a one calls you pretty and handsome and what not. Even in this smoky place, enough to blind one's eyes, the owls can see that. But you'll never be like your mother for beauty, not if you live to be 100. Mamma is very pretty still. Poor mamma. Now don't you set off again, or I shall give way at last," whimpering. "You'll never stand master's coming home and questioning at this rate. Go out and take a walk, and come in something like. Many's the time I've longed to walk it off. The thought of what the matter was with her and how it must all end." "Oh, Dixon," said Margaret, "how often I've been cross with you, not knowing what a terrible secret you had to bear." "Bless you, child. I like to see you showing a bit of spirit. It's the good old Beresford blood. Why, the last Sir John but two shot his steward down, there where he stood, for just telling him that he racked the tenants. And he racked the tenants till he could get no more money off 'em than he could get skin off a flint. Well, Dixon, I won't shoot you, and I'll try not to be cross again. You never have. I've said it at times. It has always been to myself, just in private, by way of making a little agreeable conversation. For there is no one here fit to talk to. And when you fire up, you're the very image of Master Frederick. I could find in my heart to put you in a passion any day just to see his stormy look coming like a cloud over your face. But now go out, miss. I'll watch over missus. And as for master, his books are company enough for him if he should come in." "I will go," said Margaret. She hung about Dixon a minute or so, as if afraid and resolute. Then, Suddenly kissing her, she went out of the room. "Bless her," said Dixon. "She's as sweet as a nut. There are 3 people I love. It's Mrs., Master Frederick, and her. Just them 3. That's all. Rest be hanged, for I don't know what in the world they're for. Master was born, I suppose, for to marry Mrs. If I thought he loved her properly, I might just get to love him in time. But he should have made a deal more on her, and not always been reading, thinking. See what it has brought him to. Many a one who never reads or thinks either gets to be a rector and a dean and what not. And I dare say Master might, if he'd just minded Mrs. and not let the weary reading and thinking alone. There she goes," looking out of the window as she heard the front door shut. "Poor young lady. Her clothes look shabby to what they did when she came to Elston a year ago. Then she hadn't so much as a darned stocking or a clean pair of gloves in all her wardrobe. And now—" Thank you so very much for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, share, all that jazz. And if you really enjoyed, do subscribe, because there is more to come. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a review, as it's the easiest way to get this in front of as many people as possible, and reading your reviews and comments there really, really makes my day. If you want to support the show further, there is a Ko-Fi link just here on screen, or the link is also in the description box. It's just a direct way to donate towards the show. But if you want to do something even more important, and more importantly for you, free, just listen to the show at the moment while on Spotify, while you're asleep. Still listen to it here on YouTube if you're awake. Or also asleep, I don't know. But put the podcast on Spotify. Help me get the watch time requirement that I need there so that I can unlock monetization on the podcast side of this as well. It would really, really change my life. It really, really would. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Once again, thank you so very much for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.